Yes, everyone, we are back. Can I just get the comments just to the left-hand side of that screen, please? Thank you very much. All right.
Not really.
What's the matter?
I usually always say yeah as well. Just very, very disappointed with last night.
It was disappointing last night, and we're definitely going to be talking about that. Jockey says, morning. Jockey, I think you're stateside, I think, Jockey. Or Jockier?
Yeah, if he's stateside. Depending on where he is, we'll see how early he actually is.
Good afternoon, if you're in Britain.
Or
anywhere there it's afternoon, I guess.
If you probably can tell people that are watching, if you get into what the actual crux of the video is. I think last night was very, very telling for certain players, in my opinion.
Three in particular.
Yeah, three in particular. It could be seen as a bit of a overreaction, but
actually, them five isn't a bad. It's not a bad place to start, I guess.
It's not a bad place to start at all. But sometimes, if you are going to find the positives in a bad situation, it is like last night could be a bit of a driver to getting rid of some of the bad apples that we do still have at the club.
What you're saying is Ralph Rangnick was 1,000% correct.
I think he was. Do you know what I mean? I think the only person that he was probably borderline wrong on is Luke Shaw, because Luke Shaw's fine. But to be fair, Luke Shaw came on and had an absolute stinker yesterday.
He didn't look fit today.
He didn't look fit at all.
And
yeah, he looked like
the criticism of Luke Shaw has often been he doesn't look fit, as in the cardio sense. Well, at the moment he looks injured.
Yeah, he did. He looked a bit. Then he got a little bit of a knock, and then he looked jaded. It's a very interesting one, but we're talking about technical stuff. We're talking about physical stuff that was wrong yesterday, because there was a complete different speeds that both teams played at anyway. But what worried me and what frustrated me the most is something I tweeted about yesterday, is when, you know, as a fan and you're watching a game and you feel like you care a lot more than the players that are playing. There's nothing more frustrating than that.
Me and Ash actually spoke about this. So mine and Ash's as yet unnamed podcast is out at 5 o'clock today. We filmed it yesterday at Stockport. Cheers to Stockport County. What unbelievable access did we get yesterday? Steaming in the manager's office and that. No fucking about. Telling him.
I'm the captain now.
No, I walked in and I was like, can I have a goalkeeper on loan? And he started laughing. I was like, I don't know what you're laughing at. I'm fucking 1,000% serious. Can I have a goal? Just like a 19-year-old or something. That's not getting. Come on, man.
Shout out Vic if you watch it.
Yeah, don't worry about that, Vic.
No.
It's just another team. So we got unbelievable access. But one of the things that we spoke about was, I don't know where it came from. We was talking about players not caring.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, players really, really, really do care. But sometimes it doesn't come across as that.
Maybe when it's a collective, obviously you can't go out there and just not care, but it's I think it's a spectrum thing. I think it's caring enough. It's caring to kind of equal the occasion, because you go into a cauldron away at Sevilla, a very difficult place to play. The atmosphere was insane.
What's your thoughts on them all wearing the white tops like that? It was clearly coordinated like that, wasn't it?
Is it? I don't know. Maybe it's a mental thing. I'm not quite sure, but that is the type of game where you need to kind of stand up and be counted. It's a semi-final. It's a quarter-final second leg. The tie is finally poised. It's basically 0-0, so to speak. It's like a fresh game where you win or you go home.
Yeah.
So to turn up and then to kind of just be half-hearted, half-paced, just not up to it, just playing at about 4 gears down to what Sevilla were playing at. It was just very, very disappointing.
Tally's gone off. I'm going to get into some of the comments, but no, I agree. And I don't necessarily think it is a lack of caring, because I don't think that that's the case, but it does come across like that sometimes. But the lack of pace, it's like the no heart, no desire seems like such a tap in and such a proper Neil Warnock sort of, there was just no desire. Like, there must have been desire. You know, players want to win. But what happens when they just don't like that?
All right, so if you're looking at the Sevilla team, what Sevilla player would you swap? for players in your 11.
Ability-wise?
Yeah.
Yeah, none.
Exactly, but you wouldn't afford that yesterday.
No, the way that, I mean, on one hand they dominated, but on the other hand they didn't. What are you doing, you? Why would you do that?
Don't know why it's not.
But that's not what you need to do. Give me that, and I'd have turned it on. Now we're Jesus fucking Christ! You can't get the staff here, can you? Brian says Sancho can't sprint, can't head, can't shoot, can't pass, can't run, can't beat a man. Zero character, zero spirit. Along with Donny van der Beek, what does he actually do? What?
Do you know what? It's the thing is, I don't want to sound like a broken record on Jadon Sancho, but I've said it time and time again. There's just something inside there that he doesn't have. And that,
but he had it at Dortmund.
The thing is,
and he had it at City.
This is what the Dortmund thing makes anomaly, and it's insane. I saw him play live, close and personal at academy level, and he was electric. He was different gravy to anyone else. He was probably one of the best players I've ever seen at that level.
Him and Brahim Diaz.
Yeah. He was better than Brahim Diaz.
Yeah, but what I'm going to say is him and Brahim Diaz made me hold my breath.
Yeah.
When they got the ball, you're like, what's going to happen here?
I think he literally drew crowds for his academy games, and people come and say, I want to see Jadon Sancho play. But I have no idea what's happened. I don't know if it's the money, the success. Did he lose his hunger after he went from Dortmund to United? But you watch him play, and he just looks like there's nothing there. It's a bit soulless sometimes, his performances.
Look,
do you know what I mean?
There are some rumours that the reason he went to Holland are not what was made public by the gaffer, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to ask you to comment on that because I know you're fairly close, and what I believe hasn't come from you either.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to put that out there. But I believe there were other reasons why he went. Now, I don't believe the reasons that he went are something that you can solve in a couple of weeks. I think there's something that requires work. I think it could take 6 to 12 months to actually see a genuine turnaround and behavioural and attitude and mental change, behavioural change in that time. And I think none of us that have ever gone through the thing that he's gone through have ever had to do it under such scrutiny of performance. But that doesn't abscond him from criticism for his performances. Now, he's a little bit unfortunate that the squad depth is what it is, because I think if Garnacho would have been still fit, he probably would have just played Garnacho.
That's the worry though. You've bought a Jadon Sancho who basically electrified the Bundesliga. You've signed him for the price tag that you had, and you expect so much of him. And then you've got an 18-year-old that comes up through the academy and seems to do more in 6 months than you've done in 2 years.
That's not to say, but that's because I think the things going on off the pitch are having an enormous impact on the pitch. And I think he's salvageable. But his performances at the moment don't warrant him starting in the team. And I don't know, it depends on how... He needs to be honest with Manchester United about what's going on. And he needs to be honest with himself.
There's something not right
about what's going on. And if he can be honest and say, listen, I need this and this, which is very hard for a man, 23, 24... to come to terms with and admit and put out there to his bosses when there's so much expectation on him. I think he needs to go away again.
Okay.
And actually maybe even go on loan somewhere away from Manchester United, but somewhere that's going to benefit him, where he can actually put into place some good practices and good habits. And then come back, because I believe in Jadon Sancho, but I think obviously he knows what needs fixing. So and maybe I would say you've got to admit to yourself what needs fixing. Yeah, and then you can get the what you need to get fixed.
Yeah, it's just I agree with you, because I don't think you can play this level of football, playing for Manchester United, the level of scrutiny that the matches and the games are, and not be 100% mentally there. Because I feel like when you're not, it's easily exposed. Because it's the same thing when that Rashford was having that poor run of form. It just seemed like it was getting to him, and it was like
he didn't mentally look like he was there.
He didn't mentally look like he was there.
And that's what gives me the hope that there's a comment there that says, and I will get to the super chats in a second, from the Ultimate Warrior, who says we don't have time for Sancho to go away and wait for him, but you do. Because if you can even give him 6 months, the player that comes back, the player that we saw at Dortmund, that is an asset to every single team in world football.
Is it a situation where his style of play just doesn't translate to the Premier League as an elite winger now anyway? Does he need a change of position?
I think a change of position.
Is he much more suited to the Bundesliga? I know some people have said that the Bundesliga, in terms of translatability with players and forwards to the Premier League, generally isn't good. For the most part, Erling Haaland completely obliterated that, but he's just a robot and a freak. Whereas...
is he just what a good striker would do at City over a Sterling?
Nah, because he's done that for everyone where he's played. Salzburg, he did it at Dortmund, he fucking does it for Norway. Do you know what I mean? I feel like he's just a robot, but maybe that league is more, because it's more open, more space to work with, the intensity is not as high. That suited him more. And then when he's come to the Premier League, the type of winger he is, where he seems to lack a little bit of dynamism, he's not very quick. He seems to have a bit of a stamina issue. Doesn't really seem to see out games strongly.
No, the stamina issue is something that's a bigger issue, I think. Yes,
I think it's... Even when he was never a dynamic, that kind of winger anyway. He was always quite skillful and intricate, because for all the assists that he had at Dortmund, barely any of them were crosses.
Yeah, the through balls.
Where was the through ball? That's that people mention. So I don't know. I just think maybe if he went to a La Liga, he could do okay or whatever. But he's on a trajectory right now that's worrying, because he's on 350k, living millions and millions and millions of boys' dreams, playing for Manchester United Football Club, and he's not quite making the most of it. And he's actually young enough where if he doesn't book up his ideas and he's not careful, you can see his career kind of waste away in the next few years, because when you're at United and then you fall off, there's only one way, and that's down.
I think he's done enough already in his career, even at United, which hasn't...
He ain't getting 350k from anyone else, though.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
But if he leaves United, he gets picked up by, at the very least, another Premier League team, and probably a top 10 team. What's he going to... If he left United... let's say his contract...
What are we going to get for him, though?
I don't know. That's subjective.
Can you put the comments down as well?
What I would say is, look, if he left United today, he's not going lower than a Villa. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The thing is, you look at it now and then think, all right, he's a left winger. What top 8 team does he start for? Probably not many, if any.
No.
Because as I mentioned last XG files, there's individual talent, and then you've got systems, and systems seems to be the way that football's going now. And players either fit it or they don't. And you might look at individuals at these other top 8, top 10 teams, and they have wingers that are probably doesn't have the kind of skill and talent, so to speak, from an eye test standpoint as Jadon Sancho, but they're just more effective within the system. Because you look at it and realise, is
systems matter.
Is Jamal Murphy a better footballer than Jadon Sancho?
Systems really
exactly
matter. So systems really matter. Let me get some of these super chats, because there's quite a few. Tina says, time to say bye-bye to both De Gea and Maguire. And Sancho. Sancho's been here for 2 years and been okay for the most time. Next one here we got. Let me find them. Russ says, Shaw, Casemiro, Eriksen and Rashford not fit, so give benefit of the doubt. Lindelof, Maguire drain confidence from everyone. Sancho crumbles under United pressure. I'm willing to give Sancho a bit of benefit of the doubt, because I think I know some of the reasons why some things are going west. But there has to be a desire to fix those things. You can't just shrug your shoulders and crack on. You have to, you have to fix them.
Yeah.
And there has to be a desire to fix them. If he can fix them, I think, I genuinely believe there's a top level player in there, top world class player in there. Maxwell says the Maguire mistake was bad, but it's also poor and lazy from Lindelof and Delot. They hide and don't make an option out wide. I kind of agree, but
I don't think Lindelof was great yesterday either.
If you roll it back, it all starts because Maguire's going backwards to start with. His whole instinct is to just go backwards.
What's annoyed me about this Maguire mistake is people have just picked sides. They've either gone,
it's De Gea
or it's Maguire. It's a mixture of both, because De Gea's stitched him up but Maguire's asked for it, and Maguire could have done better. At the end of the day, Maguire's the one that actually give the ball away and they score. Do you know what I mean? I think it's more like 70% maybe Maguire, 30% De Gea, but it's not like it's just the sort of thing that happens whenever Maguire plays, though. I know people have kind of put that the video up of Martinez getting a similar pass earlier and dealing with it excellently. I said to Steve earlier, I don't think you can use that as barometer because I think Martinez is just different.
I also think the Martinez one, I said this before, I also think the Martinez one is harder to get out of.
It's harder. I don't think there's many centre-halves that can deal with what Maguire had yesterday.
I disagree.
Do you know what I mean? But
I think the communication comes from De Gea, tells him to turn. I think if he lets it run across his body or he turns on it there, he deals with it. But it's like it's for the first time in his life he's decided to make a first-time pass, but he's not accounted for the change in picture because he doesn't scan anywhere near enough. If you go watch the Martinez clip, actually it's one of the first times I've ever seen Maguire scan. Was on his way to collect that ball yesterday, but he only checked one side. You got to check left, right, behind you. You got to know what's going on, and then he doesn't scan even as the ball's arriving. Yeah,
this is what I'll do. I think, dodgy pass from De Gea. Is he an instruction just to not hit it long and keep it?
That's possible.
Yes, Martinez is not Martinez. Maguire. I commend him for having the bravery to ask for it, but then after that, it was just a calamity. He was just like slow, no awareness, poor pass, and they score. And I think that further ignited the crowd, and it was just downhill from then. There was points in the game where I thought, if Maguire didn't make that mistake, could United have grew into the game? Was that kind of the
timing was horrible?
Yeah, timing was. Did that ignite them even more and the crowd, and then kind of just take all of the fizz out of us?
You get 30 minutes in, there'll be a little bit of a lull from Sevilla in front of their crowd. That crowd could have started getting antsy. This is a team solid bottom half of the table in La Liga this season. They've seen them lose loads. Not in Europa League, obviously, but they've seen them lose loads. Their crowd could have started becoming a problem for them. An on-it crowd can go both ways. It can start off really in your corner, but as that crowd quietens down, the opposition can grow into the game, and that crowd can then start getting a little bit restless and a little bit, lacking in confidence when it's a team that's lost as many as Sevilla have lost this season. And if you could have rode out that first half an hour and then started to try and catch them, because what them scoring first did was they shut up shop then. We ended up dominating the ball. We made nothing. We made no chances.
I don't literally. We might as well have just not turned up. I think Antony was the only one that did okay, and that kind of garners the whole conversation that Carragher's brought up, because Carragher seems to enjoy kind of fueling the fire with United takes on Twitter, and the one that he did last night was Antony has done more in 6 months than Sancho has since he joined, and he thinks Antony gets a lot more scrutiny than Sancho does.
He might be right. Someone commented here saying there are more excuses for Sancho than he's not asked enough. And going back to what me and Ash was talking about, not being asked enough might be a thing, but I'm not sure that's the case. Like people said, I might have even said it myself last season, Rashford doesn't look asked. Yeah. And now all of a sudden he's asked this season. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
you know what it is? I think
there's a lot goes into it.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a body language slump that sometimes some players don't react very well to adversity, and that just comes down to mental strength. And you got to have a lot of it if you're playing for United and you're playing at this level.
Simon Cowie with a super chat, thank you, brother, says the whole team was poor, but De Gea cost us the 4 goals. 4. It was shameful, disgraceful, and an embarrassment. Sancho had gone out for a mental illness, so we need him to get back to what he was.
I think he doesn't like De Gea very much from commentary standpoint. Robbie Savage.
I was watching the game, disagreeing with a lot of what he was saying.
He was so like he proper hyper defended Maguire, and then just wanted to proper hyper blame De Gea. And then so since then, I feel like to justify it, he just kind of microanalyzed De Gea for the rest of the game. Live on comms, it was a bit weird.
Me and Joe spoke about it on our review afterwards. The shoulder goal, the corner.
Loop. Yeah.
I think that's just really unlucky, because he's set himself up for what's probably going to be a bullet header or into the ground, and then it's hit the shoulder and it's looped. And them loops are just horrible angles to come up with.
And
I don't think it's as bad as everyone seems to be making out.
Yeah, Robbie Savage was like, it was just above De Gea. The ball hit the underside of the bar. So the underside of the bar is just above a keeper.
Yeah, and you're not going to get...
Yeah.
De Gea's not... It was outside the 6-yard box, I think. And De Gea ain't claiming for that. Now, if it's inside the 6-yard box, you've got an argument to make that the keeper's got to come for that. But it was outside the 6-yard box. I don't think there's a keeper in world football playing at professional level, at least. There might be some Sunday League ones that clean out everyone.
Yeah.
But like at professional level, there ain't a keeper coming for that outside the 6-yard box. Inside the 6-yard box, I think you've got there's a decision to make, I think. But outside the 6-yard box, not so much. So Brian Casey here says, all the talk over the past few weeks about why De Gea needs to stay now can get in the bin. Hopefully he doesn't get that new contract, needs to go. Harold says that was basically an Ollie team, give him respect. I've been saying this for a little bit. Ollie coming second and third with what he had. Maguire, Lindelof and McFred in midfield. It looks better every week that goes by.
Fuck it. Do you know, obviously, I wanted to ask you about a certain someone that surprisingly got injured.
Hang on, let me finish on these super chats. Brian Kevin, how do we get these high-performing Dortmund players and turn them to dirt? How? Are they all mentally incapable at a top club? Dortmund must be an amazing place to play football because everyone seems to play so carefree.
Yeah, they seem to love... Yeah, it seems to like be really, really player-friendly and they get the absolute best out of players, don't they?
The fact our back four last night was identical to when they beat us in 2020 is sickening to me.
That's insane. It's a bad omen.
Back five.
Yeah, that's a bad omen.
Simon Cow with another super chat. Let me get this one, and we'll talk about Tony Marshall because he's not made himself on the list. Oh, he has made himself. De Gea could see the three players closing Maguire down, so he should read the full picture and pass it to Wan-Bissaka. Excuse me, sorry, let me a coffee now. Then the problem is the marker's closer to Wan-Bissaka when when Maguire's asking for it, so it's not on to Wan-Bissaka. It is on to Maguire, but he should have put detail on the pass and told him to turn.
Yep.
And he probably could have fizzed it in a little bit harder as well.
And probably played safe side.
De Gea didn't have to pass to Maguire, so De Gea is responsible. I tend to agree to a certain degree that the person responsible is the person who's on the ball at the time, and he chose to make that pass. But the pass did get there. I think he could have played it harder. And it wasn't a bad pass if Maguire turns on it. He beat 3 men and took him out of the game.
He was just all wrong from start to finish, but there's no way that De Gea can get the mostly of the blame for that, especially with Maguire basically just passed it to El Naziri for him to score. That's the actual mistake that led to the goal, directly.
Ant L says, De Gea isn't our future, we will accept that, but he isn't our top priority list either. I think I'm in that sort of camp, actually. We need 2 strikers, at least 2 midfielders and a centre-back. It's a lot of people. Lil Yo-Yo says, I need 5 minutes with Maguire. The pass. Marshall. Go on then. On that note, let's talk about Tony Marshall.
All right, so
what did I say the other day? He's not going to play 10 games.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. So Marshall managed to make it 4 games before getting injured again.
Not one of them was 90 minutes.
But you know what it is? I think he did he twist his ankle or he had a bit of a dodgy. There's certain people and there's certain players that are really, really durable, and there's certain people that aren't, because you can get an injury like that and then you can run it off, or you can be tough, or you can. Marshall's not one of those players. I feel like as soon as he gets a knock, that's it. He's finished. You see when he walks around the back of the goal and he just looks like he feels sorry for himself. That just epitomises him. And that frustrates me because I like Marshall. I think he's a proper player when he's on song, but I looked at him and I was like, "You're letting me down, bro." Do you know what I mean?
This is the problem, right? So you think about the things that Ten Hag's had to deal with this season. When he accepted becoming Manchester United boss, he probably thought there was a realistic chance of having Mason Greenwood play for him. Ronaldo was at the club. Apparently
it was Maguire that fell into Marshall and injured him. This is what I mean. Whenever anything goes wrong, Maguire's always involved.
Did he do that with his hair?
Listen, Maguire is always involved. That thing from Maguire that he does with his hair is almost as bad as Fred's famous apology stance that he does. Yeah,
what was your take on the thingy that he was doing?
I don't know, man.
Rio was saying he's telling De Gea to talk more, and I didn't think that was, because that is the reply My take on it was De Gea's probably gobbed off at him, and he's gone like
no. He's saying probably telling him information.
I didn't. The way their body language was, I didn't feel like it was that. That's what Rio said. He thought it was that. I just didn't think that.
There's no way. But the thing is, who was it? Can someone tell me in the comments? Who was it last season at Marshall? Not Marshall. That Maguire fell into and he injured someone else last season as well because he's just big and clumsy. And things just go wrong. Was it Pogba? Yeah. He kicked Pogba in the head last season. Do you know what it is? You got to feel for him at times, Maguire, because other than him being awful the majority of the time, he has the worst luck ever.
Like you always make you look, don't you?
Yeah, it's like things just go wrong.
Just claim it all luck.
Things just go wrong when he's playing. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he could be having a good game, and he'll just go and injure.
Like, was it unlucky that he was in the wrong place for when the header hits him in the face? No, he's not in the right place. He lagged the line, so he was 2 or 3 meters.
Do you know what I said? I said that on the watch along, and Joe fumed. I looked at it and I thought, you can't really blame Maguire too much for that the own goal, but it hits him that way and goes the goal in that way because he's 2 yards deeper than the line. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
As the crosses come in, he dropped off, which he does a lot, rather than pushing up, which is what you want to do. He dropped off, and then because he didn't know that the striker was behind him, he couldn't do anything about it. And because he's not scanned and seen where he is, if he's been aware, he sees that he's there. Why is Casemiro jumping with him? Why is your 6 in the back line there? That's a centre-half's job. Where's the striker? Let me get on a striker. Yeah. That's your fucking job. So is it unlucky that it hit him in the face and flew into the goal? Yes. But does a better defender not find themselves in that position to let it hit him in the face there because he's actually challenged for the ball? And Maguire's great in the air. He probably would have won it if he had a challenge for it and knew it was there.
Do you know what? I think he's great defensively in the air, but Maguire, from attacking corners, he gets his head on it a lot. And it just,
every time.
And he just sends it.
And do you know how many goals he scored?
2 points.
Is it like 1?
I think it's 1 or something. Do you know what it is? You got to feel for Maguire because, in my opinion, no one can be good at football when you got the size of feet that Maguire does. Have you looked at Maguire's feet and just thought, they're size 18 boats?
It's mad that, because you would think big boats means more surface area, more to play with. But it's the opposite, innit? Like, didn't George Hadj have like size 5 feet or something?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it works against him, you know.
But you think you could put a bit of power in something if you got that big long canoe on you?
Nah, you know what? Maguire's just got a massive head. So what he does is, from attacking corners, he just runs and he just lets the ball just smack his head. No direction, no conviction. Do you know what I mean? We said before the game, you said before the game on the preview that El Naziri's great in the air and he's quite physical. And he showed that yesterday. He basically bullied our centre-half. Every time the ball went in the box, it was his head. Yeah.
Do you know the whole Jamie Carragher shit over the last week with him bringing up the Rio and Vidic stuff, right? Or Vidic stuff. Everyone started tweeting videos of Vidic. And there was one video UEFA tweeted. UEFA even got in the mix. And I can't remember what they tweeted it, but it was basically a video of both Rio and Vidic playing together. Fuck me. You forget. You forget. I forgot. If you put Maguire and Vidic into those situations that we've just seen, the clangers coming from Maguire. Like, so the one last week where he's not even challenged for it, and then he turned around and hits him in the face. Now, Vidic had his moments of being clumsy, but they were generally in the process of trying to fucking win something.
Yeah.
And mistiming it. Not because he wasn't aware of what was around him. Like, Vidic probably spots that he's maybe out of position, sees him winning the header, and probably tries to jump with him. And he probably gets a deflection and sends it over the bar from there. Or he might even catch it late and still manage to challenge for it. It's just so different. Like the defending instinct of Vidic was so high. Like some of them highlights was him just throwing himself at stuff. And you actually don't see many defenders doing that. The closest one is Martinez.
Yeah, I think because he's smaller, maybe he concentrates more. But someone says there that Maguire just heads the ball upwards. It's true. It's like it's almost like he's a volleyball header. Do you know what I mean?
Hector Smith says even Lescott's better than Maguire. That sounds like a diss. Lescott was good.
Yeah, Lescott was a good player though. And he was one thing that Lescott was renowned for was being a goal scoring centre half.
Good header.
Yeah, he scored quite a lot of goals. I think it was a season he scored like 7 Premier League goals.
I was having a chat in a group last night, and someone said something about Lescott and Terry Henry, and I was like, I put them probably both on the same level actually, because I think John Terry's way overrated, and I think Lescott's probably underrated. They're still Terry's still a solid player.
You said you put John Terry and Lescott on the same level.
Yeah.
No, I'm not having that.
What, you think Lescott's higher?
Nah. Surely you don't agree with that. Nah, that's blasphemy.
Well, no,
I'm not a big. I
think it's where everyone else rates him.
Nah, I'm not a big John Terry.
John Terry's not as good as everyone else thinks, but Lescott's better than everyone else
thinks. I'm not
thinks.
a huge John Terry.
So put them both on that level.
No.
They're about the same.
I'm not a huge John Terry fan, but like John Terry's better player than Johnny Lescott.
What could he do that Lescott couldn't?
He's a better ball player.
Nah.
Yeah, he was. Yes, he was.
Right, let me just talk to you about John Terry, right? So,
here you go.
In front of him, he's got Makalele and Essien protecting him. He's got a fullback to the side of him that doesn't move, doesn't get forward, and he's alongside the likes of Carvalho. When do you ever see John Terry playing 1v1 on the halfway line? You didn't, because he couldn't. He was good in the air, and he had a bit of a ping on him, right? Him and Lescott are way closer in ability than people ever want to comment on. John Terry is like, who the fuck does John Terry's PR? Because I see this whole centre-half debate's been raging for about 2 weeks, right? And then you see people going, who's the greatest Premier League centre-half? The confidence at which people declare John Terry. Mind-fucking-boggling.
Nah.
Absolutely sends my napper west. John Terry was so ordinary. I think Lescott's way underrated by the general population. John Terry's 1,000% overrated.
So John Terry is one of the most Premier League titles of anyone as captain, and he's overrated.
He got captaincy early. Bit of a warrior. Puts his head in stupid places and then cries about it.
What do you mean when he got knocked out? Nah, man. The thing is, that's the. I'm sorry defending John Terry, but anyway, people think he's just a warrior, but I actually thought he was a really, really good ball player, to be fair, John Terry. But this isn't really the argument. The argument was you saying that Julian Lescott and John Terry are on par, which I disagree with.
Okay, that's why I put him. And that's actually me giving more credit than I've ever given to John Terry, because I think Lescott's a really good player.
Do you know what? Can put a poll on that. Put a poll on that, Josh. Because I'm interested to see what that is.
KMD Hopper says the biggest issue with that first goal is we are not surprised by it. Maguire never scans, which means he's never aware of what's around him. Awareness is that. Final boss says Rio Ferdinand so much better than John Terry. I can't believe people even have first name, last name says Ash or Jolien. I think Jolien was better than Ash. Ash was good though. Ash was good.
Ashley Williams.
Yeah, Ash was a good centre half.
You've got,
it's Yapstam. Sure, I'll read out what I put in the group last night because I think it's relevant. And this isn't an exhaustive list. This is just the ones that I listed.
I've even seen Gary Cahill made up for John Terry's mistakes. He didn't play with good centre halves, but I don't know if you can played with good centre halves can't use that as against a lot of players. Because a lot of the best players in Premier League history that was centre halves played with another good centre half.
Yeah, Stam, Rio, and Vidic. In that, this is the text that I put in there last night. Stam, Rio, Vidic in that order. Then 50 feet of shit. Then Steve Bruce. Then Wes Brown. Then Tony Adams. Then Carvalho, Sol Campbell, Van Dijk. Then 50 feet of more shit. Then Ash. Then Lucas Radebe, Colin Hendry, Titus Bramble, then a 36-year-old Lauren Blanc, then JT and Carragher. There might be a little bit of having a laugh in that. But yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
And then Rio put, ha, 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 you're a madman. And I put, tell me I'm wrong, though. And then someone else in the group put, Ash can't be above Titus Bramble.
Oh, listen, Titus Bramble.
Yeah, Ant says Stam, Rio, Vidic in that order. I completely agree with that. And I think that Rio and Vidic is the greatest centre-half partnership that this league has ever seen.
Yeah. You are a troll, though. So was a Terry had Cavallo, Lescott had Company.
Yeah.
Mm.
But Lescott and Company, great centre-half partnership. John Terry and Carvalho was a good centre-half partnership.
Do you know what I mean? It wasn't a landslide that I expected, though.
Titus Bramble was shit, though, wasn't he? Fucking hell. Oh, Tip Bramble as he was
known. You know
known.
what? Titus Bramble, I'd still take him over Maguire at this point. And I'm talking about right now, wherever he's sat.
I think I said to Ash last night, I'd take you over Maguire. And I think I said, and I mean now.
He's in better shape now.
Oh, no, it wasn't. he asked me, Ash said, me or Ashley Young? And I said, you, now.
Nah, you know what? No, you're not.
Tony Adams or John Terry? Tony Adams.
No United fans having Ashley Williams because of... I don't think any United fan forgives him for the Van Persie incident.
He said it's the only thing United fans ever bring up against. But I said, do you know what? But you didn't ever score against us. I said you never really particularly played very well against us. I said you never did anything like proper snide against us. I said you don't really remember.
Yeah, that's what when I met Ash in Qatar, the first thing I said to him was the Van Persie thing. What was that about? And he said to me, that's what every United fan has ever said.
That's all we've got with him. He's not really smashed anyone. He's never been sent off against us. And actually, it was a mad thing to do, but I mean, there's worse things that have happened on a football pitch, isn't there?
Yeah, probably is.
And the fact that Fergie overcooked the shit out of it by saying he could have killed him as well almost makes it so minor.
The thing is, in the grand scheme, it was a strong blow to the back of someone's head. Yeah, can't be too careful.
Well, we did talk about it in the first ever version of our podcast, and it was cut. So you make your mind up on why and all the rest of that. Right, we need to talk about Whoop. Okay, this is Whoop. And Whoop have been working with me for this month, 30 for 30. We are 3 weeks into it, 21 out of 21 smashed. And it's going well. We've got a great little community, nearly 100 people in that community. And we're not just doing it for this 30 for 30 challenge. We are going to be doing it as we push on through as well. So it's not too late for you guys to come and get involved on Whoop as well. If you click the link below, you get the first month for free. It is a subscription, but it allows you to do all sorts of stuff. And the main three things that you're going to track with Whoop is your strain, your recovery, and your sleep. Now, I had an Apple Watch, and the Apple Watch I liked, in all honesty. It's quite a good gimmick. You can pay for stuff on it, this, that, and the other. But this isn't like that. It isn't like a regular kind of fitness tracker. It's totally different. You got a little electronic thing in there which you can kind of see like flashing away, and that's just like reading your skin all the time, and that's checking your heart rate. It's checking your heart rate variability. It checks your breath. I have no idea how it knows your breathing.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I've known about Whoop for a while through Steve having it for quite a long time, and the stuff that he's shown me that are data driven analytics on the app, it's insane, the level of detail.
It gamifies your life.
That tells you about it.
So one of the biggest things I'd say with me and Whoop is that it has curbed a lot of my drinking. Because if you have a sesh, the next day you get a red recovery. So one of the things that sort of drives your sleep is your heart rate variability, your resting heart rate, because obviously the lower the better for that, and then the quality of your sleep disturbance, and this, that, and the other, right? So that's the main sort of drivers of your sleep. One of the things that you start to notice the trend of, even if you have 2 drinks, your heart rate's gone up. If you have an absolute obliteration session, which I've not had for a minute. There was one in Dubai in the World Cup, which was bad. You are on red recovery the next day. You're talking 1, 2, 3%ers where your body, someone's basically gone, are you okay? Do we need to go to the emergency room? Like, what's going on?
So what you're saying is Whoop.
It forces good habits.
Detailed,
it forces good habits because you wake up in the morning, oh, what's my score? Like, what's my recovery like today? And then sometimes, you don't feel good. And it's just sort of like, reinforces what you kind of already knew. But sometimes, especially like when you're training hard, one of my mates did a marathon. Shout out to everyone who did the Manchester Marathon last weekend. I know there was tons of you that did it. And he was hitting high 18 strains regulars in the build up to it. He's done fuck all this week because he did the marathon last week, and he started to see his recoveries really start to go in. He's like, I never had a green recovery before, and he's having green recoveries because he's not had it that long, and he got it just literally to train for the marathon, going to see if he was overtraining and that. And that's one of the good things about, if you had an Apple Watch, that thing's on charge for 2/3 of your life. You can't wear it on, but with a Whoop, you wear it all the time. You can even keep it on in the shower or the bath. And when you charge it up, there's like a little shell that slides over the top of it. And when you bang that on, it takes about an hour or so. It charges up, and then you go and put that back on charge, so you never take it off. So any questions or anything about this, let us know in the comments. We are 21 days deep. Like, back end of next weekend, we are done with our 30 days. And I would say for me, the 30 days has gone really well, probably on the basis of, if I had a busy day at work, I would chin the gym off and then not do anything. But I've found a way to be able to do a 30-minute session at home. Here's my little sort of way of doing it, right? I'll bang a bit of House of Cards on. Something that I can watch without really watching. Do you know what I mean? Like, not have to get like fully engrossed into it. I'm doing Bulgarian split squats on my sofa. You know what I mean? We're getting in a mix. And then Janine comes in and she's like, what the hell are you doing? No, don't worry about it. What's this?
No, it's just Johnny Piper at me saying Les got 7 goals in his entire City career. That's really, really good stat selection for narrative. But I wasn't talking about his City career. I was talking about Everton. So look at his Everton stats, Johnny Piper.
Ant says, I don't have blood. My body is run on pure energy drink. What would Whoop say about me? Well, I'm probably in the same boat as you, to be honest. And when I do come off energy drinks for a minute or two, because I haven't done loads of time off it, but a day or two here and there, you do actually start to see some stuff. Yeah. So it's good. I was trying to aim for a 10 strain every single day this month, and I've not managed to do that. There's been some days in the 6s and 7s. But yeah, let's see if we've got any comments on here. Lil Yo-Yo says, surprise things are cut from the pod with Ash. Don't be, because Ash works for the BBC. Ant says, Whoop need a United feature. Can you out-train Manchester United players? That's interesting.
Oh,
that's an interesting way of looking at it. K Wizzy says, Whoop looks kind of cool. Like, I'll quickly throw my app on here for you in a minute. So here's what you get. You can just about see that. Yeah, so that's your little dashboard. You can see what exercise you've done. You can see what your sleep is. You get to see what your sleep has been for like the entire week. You can see what your sleep need was and what you was getting. And you can see what your time in bed has been as well. You can see what your strain has been there. So the green ones are when I've had green recovery. I haven't had any red ones for a while. The yellow ones are when your recovery has been a bit more in the middle. And then you can see your strain and where you're at for the day. So I'm at 5.7 for today. I did a little deadlifting session this morning and then a little bit of back. So my workout has flipped into doing a lot more strength type stuff at the moment. So that's what I'm doing. Tomorrow morning I've got a run before the game. Hopefully do about half an hour running. And then we're off into the game, which will be more running than Ronaldo does in 90 minutes.
That's a lie. That's the biggest myth ever. And teams always find that out once they put the data on me.
Alan says, does the lack of creativity versus Sevilla highlight the need for a De Jong type play with Bruno? I don't know, you know. I don't know if it was a lack of creativity yesterday.
That's been lost, though, because we said United severely lacked energy, heart, a bit of grit, enthusiasm yesterday. And it was one of the rare games where we didn't have Bruno Fernandes. And for all the things that you criticise Bruno about in terms of him giving the ball away at times and being a bit lax in possession and sometimes having his occasional stinker, he brings all of those things every game. You can criticise Bruno for a lot of things, but you can never, ever really question his commitment. And he's basically our tempo setter in a lot of ways. And United do look very different when he doesn't play in terms of that.
It'll be big against Brighton, I think, on Saturday. And like I am not looking forward to this Brighton game in the slightest.
If we play like that,
I'm genuinely worried. Oh, by the way, before we move on, if you want to get involved on the Whoop, the link is in the description. Like I said, it's not just going to be for this month that we're doing the challenge. We're probably going to do more challenges as we go forward. So if you want to get in the mix, and I said it's meant, just the sleep tracker alone, it would be worth it for. But all the other stuff, they've added a new feature. So I'm on the Whoop Pro thing, which means I can get access to early features. They've added one for strength training because I think people have been going, well, when I'm doing strength training, how does it know how hard I'm working? Because actually sometimes you really smash yourself doing strength training, but your heart rate hasn't gone nuts as like it would on a run. Yeah. So they've added something new in as well, so that's an interesting one. Taylor says, Sancho's done for me, never going to be the player I thought.
I don't know, man. It's tough. I just feel like his style of winger just doesn't fit systematically. It's like, it's weird because I look at someone like Demarai Gray, play for Everton, and he's not a £70 million player. But I honestly don't know if I can stand it, because I've always rated Demarai Gray. I don't know if I can stand here and say that Jadon Sancho's a better footballer than Demarai Gray. And that's the problem.
Jeebus.
Who disagrees?
Rishab says, yesterday showed everyone who the real captain is. Oh, what a call that is.
Ooh.
Even if we beat Brighton, this is Huncho says, even if we beat Brighton, do you really want to see Maguire against Haaland?
Maguire against Haaland, scary.
Tidgy Puds says, I need to get about 4 stone. I've been diagnosed with long QT. I don't know what that is. Doesn't sound good though, mate. Would Whoop help me not die trying? Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously not a doctor. Definitely consult a doctor before doing anything. But I think one of the things that you do get with Whoop is it's personalised. So my mate who's out here running marathons, getting 18 strays all the time, his Whoop isn't going to just like look at a baseline number and say, I need to do the same thing. So when you go on your app, there's something called coaching, and it will say to you what you need to do. So mine at the moment says I need to do another workout of 5.2 to get to my optimal day strain with today, which is 11. So that's optimal, and you can set a thing in there. Do you want to overreach? So when you're going to bed at night, you can change it every night if you want to. I've just left mine as to just be, in a good state. But you can put just to get by, and it might say, okay, well, just to get by tomorrow, you could probably do with like 5 hours of sleep. Now, if you want to peak tomorrow, let's say you had a big event or something, you want to peak, it might tell you that you need 10 hours. Yeah. So it's really interesting how it's flexible to whatever it is that you need to do. Like at the moment, mine's saying suggested bedtime tonight is 23:04.
11 o'clock.
4 minutes past, a very precise 4 minutes past 11, and I need 7:56 in bed to perform. So that's for me. So I can change it. Do I want to perform?
I think I don't know. That's why Whoop would be interesting for me, because I don't think I ever sleep more than.
So to peak, it's saying I got to go to bed at 20 to 10.
Yeah.
And if I just want to get by, it's saying I can go to bed at half past midnight.
Yeah, I don't feel like I ever really get much more sleep than 7. I think 7 hours is my max.
Brenjack says, Steve has such a massive agenda against Maguire, it's madness. Yeah, mate, it was me that passed the ball to him. It was me that chose not to scan. It was me that fucking played it in for Sevilla to score the first goal.
And it was you that injured Martial.
Mate, I genuinely don't know what some of you fuckers watch when you watch football. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like, we literally saw Luke Shaw come in and be a better centre-half than him. And the guy's a left-back.
And he's got a knock, because obviously Maguire's not there for Brighton. And if Shaw's injured as well, it's Lindelof and probably Casemiro centre-half.
Yeah. Or maybe McTominay.
No, not McTominay.
Or maybe McTominay.
McTominay probably comes into midfield, or Fred comes into midfield, but McTominay, Eriksen, scary against Brighton. That very, very worrying. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I would have rather have seen Luke Shaw next to Lindelof anyway. My only concern about that centre half pairing was how they'd cope physically against El Naziri, but against Evan Ferguson's injured, so you don't have to deal with that physicality. But you've got Danny Welbeck instead. He's still a decent player. Danny Welbeck.
I'm worried about Danny Welbeck.
Yeah, I think Danny Welbeck's going to score on the weekend. It's just written. I thought the only thing left yesterday was when Telles subbed on. I thought he was going to score. I was just summing the game up in it. Alex Telles just lashing one in from 25 yards out.
Anyway.
Yep.
Right, I'll be back later on with the brew. My mate Brandon's joining us, bringing his world title belt. So come and have a tune in for that one. And yeah, that's that, innit?
That's that.
See you in a bit.
In a bit.
Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.